Hi, this is Carl with another SOP video for managed service providers. Do you know what a nerd likes? A nerd likes a good label maker. I used to buy these 3, 4, 5 at a time back when I had KP Enterprises. In fact, I don't know if you can see it on there, but this still says KPE on the label maker. So today I want to talk about labeling equipment. What's the right amount and what's not enough and what's too much? The first question is, why are you labeling equipment? Is this for you or is this for the client? Sometimes you have to just put a label on a router that says router, so that when you're on the phone and you need to talk to the client and you say, okay, here's the piece of equipment I need you to unplug. You don't have to describe the router. You don't have to explain it. It's got a label that says router. You say, oh yeah, that's the one. Okay. Same thing with switches and firewalls and other things. Clients also like labels with the names of things like printers. Like if one printer is Yoda and the other printer is something else, well then, they need to know which printer you're talking about. You might find it useful to put something like an IP address on the printer. Again, that's up to you. Does that go on the front or the back? What makes it easier? What will the client tolerate? Some clients are real picky about the look of things in their office, and having IP addresses on printers is not their favorite. So if it's useful for you, then you should do that. Now, if your monitoring system and your entire documentation system makes it super easy for somebody to look up the word Yoda and find the IP address of that printer, then you're golden and you don't have to worry about it. But again, sometimes it's just practical to know what the printer IP address is. I had a client one time that had a room full of printers. None of them had names that were of any use whatsoever, but they all had IP addresses on them because nobody ever went in that room except technical people or somebody picking up their print job. And that way we could easily manage it, and the client didn't care about all the labels that were there. So about those routers and firewalls and a handful of switches, here's a question. Should you put the password on the bottom of the router? A lot of people say, oh my God, no, never, never, never. Except, truth is, if somebody's in the server room and they're able to pick up the router and turn it over and look at the password, that's probably not who you have to worry about when it comes to security. If it is, my guess is the room is locked. And so, it just becomes a non-issue. The truth is, unless there's a camera pointed at the bottom of the router, no one's going to come in over the internet and look at the bottom of the router to see what the password is. And in fact, as you know, many things like cable modems, very frequently the password is on the label on the back of the modem already. So even if you change it, right, the standard is, hey, we're not worried about people physically looking at the router. So personally, I don't care if there's a label with the password on the bottom of the router or the firewall. That's not the people that you have to worry about breaking into those systems. The most common kinds of labels that I find very useful and clients don't seem to mind are labeling desktops, laptops, and servers or NAS and SAN equipment. The reason clients don't mind is, everything's got to have a name. They kind of get that. Don't make the label too big or right in their face. But if a computer is under a desk and it's got a label on it that says Workstation 27, who cares? So I like those kinds of labels. It does make life easier in the long run. Again, I like to have something as standardized as possible and something that the client is okay with. So I like to just have a conversation with the client and say, here's what we like to see. And chances are pretty good they're going to say, that's fine, I don't care. And then you go along your merry way. So have as much labeling as is useful, but don't have more than that, right? Again, we all have systems for managing our documentation. Take advantage of that system and don't make your clients' offices too ugly, because if they're not nerds, they may not love their label maker. For Small Biz Thoughts, this is Carl Polachek wishing you the best of luck in your managed service business.
Please like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you can be notified when we post a new video.